Mayorkas, while the House does have a tiny little majority of Republicans, the Senate's not going to pass it. They're not going to get 2/3 majority.
No, they're not. But the thing is, look, I don't fault the House. If they have a basis for impeachment, regardless what the other House does, they have an obligation to proceed. I just don't believe that they have a cognizable basis here for impeachment. The first article is basically a disagreement about the level of enforcement being done by this administration. The Republicans are right. We have an open border.
Right.
This is a huge crisis. But that is a policy judgment made by the president. The courts have said that presidents can give priority in the enforcement of federal laws. And this is not the first president who's been challenged over lack of enforcement at the border.
And you've got multiple reasons Republican House members' push to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security makes no sense other than political gamesmanship. There's always a politician looking for clout that's responsible for it.
But we can't watch Americans die every single day from fentanyl overdose and illegal alien crime. It's members of Congress. We're the lawmakers, not the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And Secretary Mayorkas has taken it into his hands to make this border invasion possible. He's paroled illegal aliens en masse into the country. And here we have, tragically, 3 members of the Georgia reserves killed in this awful attack that we've just learned about. I think those reservists would rather be guarding our southern border and protecting our homeland than tragically getting killed because of Biden's weakness and horrific foreign policy that's led to this attack.
Representative Green has been promoting the impeachment of Mayorkas for months, while always making sure to let everyone know that this was her idea. So as long as she can pivot to acting like she cares about Americans' lives with the same lines about invasions, she feels that she and her president can capitalize on it. So while she warns everyone about the numbers of people crossing the border, she hopes no one will realize that impeaching Mayorkas won't suddenly stop the policies that they're against.
This isn't about policy at all. That's what Democrats keep arguing with us about. Our policy disagreements with Democrats and the Biden administration we passed H.R. 2. That's our border policy that we feel is the right thing to do for the country. It's Mayorkas' willful intent and absolutely actions that have broken federal immigration laws. He has paroled millions of people into our country, into the interior, en masse. He's not detaining people in ICE facilities like he's supposed to on a case-by-case basis when they're seeking amnesty. ICE facilities are so empty right now, they're in the verge of closing one down in California. These are the changes that Secretary Mayorkas has implemented himself. He didn't come to Congress and ask us to change laws for him. He actually changed these things himself.
Green presents devastating stat after devastating stat on detention centers for the sake of her politics so consistently, she might actually believe some of it. But if her followers paid attention to anything else other than MAGA's political theater, they'd see again that the issues Marge is complaining about have details that they're absolutely unwilling to address.
They are at capacity. So there may be individual examples of certain facilities at certain times that are not at capacity for safety reasons or health reasons or whatever the case may be. But overall, across the system, we are at and above capacity. And so what should the Secretary do? The Secretary, because he has not received the funding to provide adequate detention capacity, has to use his judgment for who to detain and who to release. That is not illegal. It is certainly not impeachable, and it is the exact same kind of discretion that every other director before him has used.
And they only refuse to do something for the sake of contributing to a disaster that only their deity can fix, even though he didn't the first time.
In the last 2 years of the Trump administration, 52% of migrants apprehended at the southern border were released, not detained. 52%, nearly 1 million people. I did not hear my Republican colleagues trying to impeach the secretary or acting secretary under the Trump administration during those years, but here they are trying to impeach Secretary Mayorkas for doing the exact same thing.